everybody. Welcome to What Anna Said podcast. Last week, we got to sit down with Ofa Faiva-Siale, and this is part 2. Enjoy!
Friends and family, I would like them to go back to basics, go back to family.
Yes.
Go
very
back
true.
to God.
Yes, very
Go,
true.
never let that go. Texas, don't worry too much about,
Yeah.
People here, kind of have that tendency.
Mhm.
For anybody that's, if everybody, I suppose, go back to basics for Euless, the people here, maybe see some good in us about the way we are with our families and how we take care of each other. Some of the things I always hear at police, at PDs, how they had issues, or not one time, but several times in the past, issues with gangs. That used to be a thing here. And people forming into little gangs and then trying to, behave like,
Yeah.
Crips and Cuz, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
And so they had to deal with that. And, they often talk about how wonderful it is that the parents, once you tell the parents,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
something, and not
That's for
necessarily
sure.
the parent, but the uncle's father,
yeah.
son could also come along and
Yeah.
discipline children, which is something we do often in Tonga,
Yes.
and it keeps everybody in order. And so those are some things. There are lots of great things about Tongan people, and family and God is too at the forefront, and respect,
Yes.
being respectful. We're getting out of that. There's lots of disrespect.
Yes. Yes. Very
Urumanga
true.
whakatonga ko
Yes.
ia, whakaapa-apa, having brothers and sisters, whakaapa-apa relationship, children to father, and go back to basics,
Yeah.
which we seem to be on a reset right now with our
Yeah.
new president.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, please. Yes. But that's so true, Ofa. Like you said, the basics, because as I mentioned earlier in our episode, how family is just woven into our DNA. It's family and God. That is the biggest thing that we hold tight. And when we have God as the foundation, everything else aligns. We're very respectable to our elders. Like you mentioned, as they get older, we want to take care of them even more. No, come to my home. I want to cook for you, and help them. And I think that is definitely a great thing that they culture as Tongans.
Yeah. The other thing is the devaluing of life.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
that it touches on the elderly too. But the idea that it's the babies are a blob, and that it's not human, and it's unfortunately some of our youth may be getting into that mind frame. Some of the shifting is seeping into the into the community too, and where once you start doing that, then then your life is meaningless.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a value. God values life.
Yes.
And the more we can stick to basics and
Exactly.
keep that going. And now I don't know if you're a grown person and you you commit too much. I don't know about some on that end, but on the other end, on the innocent end, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll end there.
Oh, yeah.
Go further.
Yeah, but like you said, stick to the basics, because
Yeah.
that is who we are. And that just brings everything back to being
Normal.
Just
Society to function.
everything in order.
Yeah,
Yes.
you think humans for millions of years journeyed
Mm.
and journeyed and evolved
Yeah.
to include a God and to say the traditional family is the way to go to maintain a society that is functional, and to have laws and rules and laws to guide us, and all of that comes from God. All of that comes, and not just any
Yes.
God. It comes from our Christian God.
Yes.
It's not just any God. And so we're here in America, and and then we got away from the basics.
Yes, very
You
true.
know, the human race evolved into this way, and then we're going to try and damage that and destroy that in 30 years, and take God out and say there's no gender, and say there's no male
Very true,
female.
yeah.
The Bible is male female.
Yes.
God made a male and female.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Sorry, you can
No,
take that
no,
out.
you're fine. Yeah. So it's good to grow. It's good to want to adapt and learn and be innovative and create a successful life for us as Polynesians, but at the same time stick to our basics, to what is, weaved into our DNA, which is God and family.
Yeah.
What long-term impact do you hope your work will have on the relationship between the city and the Tongan community?
What long term? I hope our youth. I hope the Tongan youth of Texas becomes wondrous and wonderful and big and glorious
Yes.
humans who will contribute and not take and not continually
Yes,
eat up
exactly.
the resources and the goodness that God has provided,
Yeah.
but to contribute to it and to leave the world a better place and to leave Texas. We're just only Texas.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But that the Tongan youth could be that and become good humans and not necessarily rich or famous
Yes.
humans, but to be good and to fight and stand up for what's right and what's
Yes.
good and what's godly.
Mhm.
And that's the hope that we have.
Yes.
Whether they going to college and learning and everything we do is in the hopes of that, right? And then we die.
Right.
And then it's over with.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we hope the kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Carry on.
Yeah.
That's so true. I love that. Looking back on your journey, Ofa, what would you say? What are you the most proud of? Looking back on your journey, we went all the way back to your childhood, moving here and adapting and all this potential.
What am I most proud of? I would say one of the thing I'm most proud of is I feel like that I was there for my dad as he aged and died at 90 in his 90s.
Wow.
He lived in California. I was very proud of him. He was an untraditional dad. He was very colorful.
Yeah.
And he was very he's somebody who's very strict, and he believed in things, and that was it. And he was very nice and loving and kind until he was not. My dad was a wonderful man. His parents died when he was real young, and raised himself, and he did a lot for us. And then I wish I could have taken care of him here and his family and his wife and 2 kids, but that didn't. They have their own life. But managed to be there for him and with him towards the end. And that's one thing. I think that, and God gave me my journey. I nothing really to be super proud of. I'm proud of you all.
Oh, thank you.
I know that for sure. I am really, you're an inspiration. Y'all are elevating the conversation and moving the work forward and up, and all of the many people here in Texas that does these things like you guys are doing. I'm proud of that.
Thank you so much, Ofa. I love that you were still able to be there for your dad, even in all the way towards his 90s.
Yeah.
Wow. And just looking back on the story of how you mentioned your mom passing away and then him traveling with you guys and making your way here, it just shows just how colorful your dad was.
Yeah, he's a very strong man.
Yes. So in regards to moving out here and all the cultural differences that we mentioned, I know there were some advice that you gave any new immigrants that are here. I'm going to ask again, since we're coming close to the end of our podcast episode. What is one message or piece of advice you'd like to share with our listeners, especially those navigating cultural differences?
Cultural differences. So it's kind of, again, I'm going to go back to the catch-22 part of my answer before, is the idea of becoming successful and advising people to be successful. It's almost going to take out the part of the Tongan culture that is it's a bit of a dilemma for me. And, because in order to be successful in the job that I currently hold, there's a lot of funerals I don't go to. that I would love to go to, that I need to go to as a Tongan, family members that I've had to miss because of work. And so, if you can call Ekungawe as a success, if you want to call it that, I don't know if it is or not, but um there's a price to pay. The higher you go in the pay, and unless you figure out how to make your own money, you can learn how to invest, and do something like that, or you own your own business and run your own thing, and otherwise, if you work and you have to work and make a life, then that's what's going to happen. So it's a catch-22 here, and it's a dilemma. So you have to determine if you want to be successful. Our parents brought us here to be successful. If they wanted us to be the same, then we would have stayed in Tonga,
Right.
and not had come here at all.
Right.
If life was wonderful and perfect and great, then why would we come? Why
Right.
would they do that to bring us here? So I think we owe it to them some,
Yes.
to be a success ourselves, and to be self-determinant, and
Yes.
do our own thing, and be able to support ourselves, and not live off of other people, and and live off of the system, and
Yes.
and do all of this and work hard. And
Work hard.
so we need to educate ourselves on what we're going to lose
Yes.
if we do this, and what we're going to gain if we do this, or lose here, or it's, and then pick a choice,
Yes.
and then go for it and do the best you can. Because I think life evolves, this whole world evolves,
Yes.
the planet evolves, the stars,
Yes.
everything is shifting, and we're going to lose
Everything.
something.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. I love that. Thank you so much, Ofa. How can listeners? I know you mentioned earlier some things about volunteering with this. You can do volunteer work with the city and stuff. But in regards to the work that you're doing through ETCC or TYAT or anything else, how can listeners support the work that you're doing and contribute to fostering stronger cultural understanding within their communities?
Volunteer with ETCC, or start something. If you have something that you've been thinking about, that you've been called to do, you feel like God has been speaking to you, and things have been aligning for you, but you just keep putting it off, and it's probably time to move.
Yes.
The hardest thing is to move, the first move.
Yes, always.
That's the most difficult thing, is to make that first move.
Yes.
So everybody I believe, is called to do something, outside of themselves and not for themselves. And I think that, that's something you could do. If you, for ETCC and TYAT, you know what we do. If you feel called to do that, don't be ashamed or embarrassed to call and, "Okulahi ma whakatonga." That's a cultural
Yes,
thing,
it
and it
is.
really keeps
It
us
is.
down.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it
Very
is.
true.
Yeah, it really, really does. And there's a lot of people all over social media who don't care, and they're out there,
Yes.
reaping havoc,
Yes.
cussing,
Yes.
and
Yes.
whakamau, lau, and tau lau,
Right.
and more power to you. Keep doing
Right.
that. We're not talking about you right now, so don't. I'm talking about the people who are sitting around, who is Tongan, and heavy into the culture, and worried what people might think, and worried they might fail. The biggest failure is not trying and not doing something.
Yes.
So one of the American, the whole thing about the American dream is to pursuit of happiness.
That's
Your
right.
pursuit of happiness, and that's something we're not taught as a culture, and as people. We are, like, again, taught to have a
Yes.
place and stay in your place. In America, they don't teach you that. They want you to
Yeah.
think for yourself, and figure things out, and learn and question everything, and answer everything, and so your spirit can grow, and your knowledge can grow. And a lot of us are in that space, I believe, that's listening right now. And I think that you should find a place to go and do serve, and do your service, like these sisters are doing, like you guys are doing, and call up. Come volunteer for ETCC and TYAT, college tours. Call up out of nowhere. I promise you, we love anybody, and we welcome, and we are so happy, I'll kiss your feet personally. If you just call up and say, I've been thinking, I want to do this. I have this idea. Could we work together? Is there any way? Can we use, use ETCC's platform, use the Castati Sisters platform to start experimenting. Venga ke tau mahino I ko ha tau next move ko ha tau mea ke whai. And we need to talk to each other. Ko ha mea ke tau whai ke hoko atu ho mo mea mo whakau ke ai. Those of you who are thinking of doing things and there's programs and little things you want to do it. Just do it. Call somebody, talk to somebody, do something. I think that's something you can contribute. Kia kau tonga, me tau ngā we whakatonga, ka tau wako, ka tau ngā we whakataha. Ka mea iau saya e kau palangi, te au te tikai me kau India, me kau Siaina, because of ngai na uri fia. They're not afraid to think for themselves and to get outside of the box. Take a lesson, go to class, get a certificate from TCCC, tola pe wangiao tupu, te lava, become a tech, for something. Whekawe tamaiki ge na wo ki he the B-winger. Take classes over there. They could be chefs. Expand. But them go na ke tupu hake ai. We need to put our money, maybe, I don't want to say this because I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to be condemned. But give a little bit to church, but give a little bit to the children. Ave na tolo whakahuna tolo he kalasi whakohai. Some classes that they can take and start expanding more and now Eloi. I honest to God, guys, kapau na, if I grew up in a Palangi family, I think I would be in Africa or I would be in Egypt digging. Egyptology would have been my preference, would have been my thing. And I learned that in junior high. Wow. But I had to do a book report and I did it on King Tut. And I have loved it ever since, and I read it and I watch it all the time, and I always think maybe I don't regret anything. Right. Not complaining. Right. Exactly. But I know for a fact that would have been the perfect life for me. Wow. Dig in the sand and discover all these ancient artifacts and all these ancient things. And, anyway.
That is so cool. But that's true because you go where you know. So the best thing that you can do for your kids, expose them to everything, invest in them, show them everything that you can show them so that they can see their potential, so that they can sit and think and dream. Don't take your dreams to the grave. Please don't die. But what I was saying is that one of the things that really stood out is that when we started, like Kim brought up the scholarship journey that we started last year. And when we started that, we were thinking about who can we reach out to? And Kim is totally right. The first person that came to mind was Ofa, because we knew before even meeting her, mind you, we already knew about her passion, about being so passionate about working in our community, working especially for the generation coming up. And so that's why we reached out to her. And when we reached out to her, we were received so warmly. Like we there was no walls, there was nothing. She was like, what do you need from me? We can sit down and do this. Here are some ideas. Here are some resources. Do you guys want to do it like this? I know a person you can talk to. I mean, just completely open. So when I say she doesn't just have advice, that this advice is something that she herself does, that she's living out what she's saying, I mean it, because we experienced it firsthand. Even when we came to set up today, I mean, just being so encouraging on the way in and setting up. And she continues, like, every time we're with her, we just feel like, okay, you know, we got this support, you know, to move forward. Like maybe we're doing something that means something because your opinion holds that much weight. And so we're just so thankful for that. Thank you for the work that you do in the community. Thank you for being that person and, you know, having to, because I'm sure that there are many times that you're in a tough spot, in an uncomfortable spot, and having to explain to just your coworkers, like, the funeral takes 5 days and this, and this. You know, I'm sure that over the course of the years of your work, especially in the city, working so close with them, that there are things that we don't even know that you've had to explain. I'm sure there's a lot of people in our community that don't understand, that don't know about times where you've had to explain something on their behalf, you know, whether they know it. That's what I'm saying. Kids missing school, so much school. Yes. And
just all those things. There are so many ways that I know that you have not realized that you've had a direct hand in working that relationship between the city, whether you see it, and I know you don't admit it, and you won't take credit for it, but I'm gonna say it because I see it and I recognize it, and it takes a tough person to put themselves out there. It takes a tough person to be the one to get everything, you know. And so just shout out to you and your team behind you that continue to sacrifice and make this thing work. We're really thankful because we literally directly benefit from the work that you guys are doing. So thank you so much for that.
You can wrap it up. Oh, Kim will wrap it up.
Well, Ofa, we are coming to a close. Don't want to take up your whole entire night, but we just wanted to say thank you for allowing us this opportunity to just sit down with you, giving us your time. Like you said, time is valuable. And we just want to thank you for opening up your home also so that we have a place that we can come and just connect and get to know who Ofa Faiva-Siale is.
Exactly.
So, and also just a little bit, okay? There's more to come, okay? I'm telling you guys right now. But also to our viewers that are viewing online and to our listeners, we want to take this time just to say thank you for tuning in on another episode of What Anna Said podcast. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to What Anna Said podcast. Bye.